This video was put together to replace the trip meeting which was supposed to occur on January 22nd. Our band trip is going to take place on March 10th through the 17th, and it consists of 2 days at Universal Studios, a 4-night Royal Caribbean cruise, and a visit to Kennedy Space Center. As I go through the video, I encourage you to have the handout in front of you. The handout was given out to students in class and has also been emailed to you. Before we dig in, I want to highlight what you need to do next. The good news is that you have turned in almost all the papers that need to be turned in. Before February 26, you need to finalize your online registration by setting up your expense account. If you are using a credit card, you need to input that information online. If you do not plan to use a credit card, you need to state that online. Next, between February 26th and March 1st, you will need to print out your set sail pass. You'll need to sign that and then submit it to Mr. Karkula. Please do not print it early. Do not print it early. If you need to make changes to it, your set sail pass could be invalid, and that'll create problems when we are trying to board the ship. Finally, by March 5th, this is the final date to turn in any updated medical forms, which includes medications or any changes that have taken place to the student medically. Now to start with the important information from the document. Call time on Saturday, March 10th is 4:30 a.m. in the high school commons. All luggage will be checked by SDMA administration and staff at that time. Boys will have their luggage checked by male MHS staff, and females will have their luggage checked by female staff members. On our way to Florida, we will be taking a Cobasin coach. It does have Wi-Fi. Next, I'd like to highlight who you will need to get in contact with in the event of an emergency. First of all, if there is an emergency, first try to contact Mr. Karkula or Mr. Munoz. Then proceed to contacting the chaperones. Contact information for everybody is included in the handout. If there is an emergency, first try to contact Mr. Karkula on the phone number that is included here and in the handout. I need to stress that this number is only active for this trip. It should work the entire trip, including on the ship, unless the ship has some internet issues. When calling, please leave a message. The message will show up on his voicemail on his email. If you cannot get in touch with Mr. Karkula, you can also try Mr. Munoz. I'd like to emphasize that his phone number is also only active for this trip. It should work the entire trip unless internet access is down on the ship. Again, with Mr. Munoz's number, also leave a message. The message will show up on his voicemail and his email. If you cannot get a hold of Mr. Munoz or Mr. Karkula, you can also try a chaperone, though please respect the privacy of their phone numbers and only use their numbers during this trip. If you are unable to get a hold of Mr. Munoz, Mr. Karkula, or the chaperones, you can try calling Royal Caribbean's emergency phone number, which is 1-800-724-SHIP. I'd like to encourage you to only use this for emergencies, as it is very expensive. It is $8.95 to $9.95 per minute. When doing so, provide the information on your handout, which is the ship name, the sailing date, the student name, and use a major credit card. We will spend our first night in Florida, March 11th through March 12th, at the Best Western Oceanfront Resort. Contact information and location information is included on this slide and in your handout. Now I'd like to go back and highlight what will happen on March 10th when you arrive at the high school. Again, call time is 4:30 a.m. in the high school commons. For luggage checks, have the following items accessible so you can show that you have them: your passport and your plan for passport security, your school ID or driver's license, your instrument, your music stand if you indicated that you have one, your performance attire, which consists of your shirt, pants, socks, footwear, etc., your formal attire for dinner, money and/or a credit card, and your medications. For luggage, students are limited to 1 medium-sized bag or suitcase, 1 day pack, and their instrument and accessories. Please be sure to label your luggage with your name, your address, your phone number, and your email address. You will not have access to your large bag or your suitcase until we arrive in Florida. Be sure to plan ahead when packing your bus backpack. Don't put items that you need on the bus in your large suitcase. Before we arrive at Universal Studios the next morning, you will have access to your luggage again. When choosing luggage for the trip, please do not bring huge mega luggage. When the trip is done, the plan is that we will arrive back to MHS on the evening of March 17th. Because of the long distance, we don't know an exact time. Please make arrangements with your children and have a backup plan in case we arrive early or late. All students are required to have passports on the trip. After talking this through with Mr. Munoz, we have decided that all students will be responsible for holding their own passports throughout the entire trip. Passport checks will happen regularly, for example, when boarding buses, during room checks, etc. Students are encouraged to develop an organizational strategy for carrying their passport. For example, having a passport neck holder is a popular choice, or a special zipper pocket that you only keep your passport in. Parents, passport security is very important, and I'd like to encourage you to discuss passport storage strategies with your children. Several meals are included for the trip, including one breakfast at our Cocoa Beach Hotel and all the meals while on the cruise ship, which includes 4 breakfasts, 3 lunches, and 4 dinners. Students will need to plan ahead to purchase the following meals: 6 meals en route, 3 to 4 meals while in Florida, including all meals at Universal Studios, and possibly 1 lunch on March 12th. Students will need to develop a system for money. I highly encourage all students to have a credit or debit card, and it needs to have their name printed on the card. Students should also bring some cash. On the ship, students will make all purchases with their SeaPass card. No cash is exchanged on the ship except to load this card. It also doubles as their room key. A few notes about the SeaPass card. You are highly encouraged to load this card online before the trip. This is step number 2 of the online registration. You can also load it with cash on the ship. If you take this route, you will have to pay up before departing if you pay with cash. If you load your SeaPass card with a credit card, you are simply charged at the end of the trip, which saves a little bit of time. I must emphasize, if setting up your SeaPass card ahead of time, make sure you use the same credit card that you plan on bringing on the ship. I must also emphasize that the student's name must be on that card. As I previously mentioned, students are highly encouraged to have a credit card or a debit card on the trip. I'm going to highlight some notes about credit cards. There is a significant convenience to using a credit card. Yes, at times it can be too convenient, but when so far away, it is good to have access to money when you need it. Credit cards also provide protection in the event of a lost card. You are not responsible for those purchases. It can be a hassle to get the money back, but at least you can get the money back. If you lose cash, it is gone forever. Perhaps look into having the student added as an authorized user on the parent's card. Have an agreement with the student concerning purchases and reimbursements before going on the trip. Be sure to have enough credit available to cover a medical expense on the ship. Also, be sure to inform your credit card company of your travel plans to make sure that you don't have any issues while trying to use your credit card during the trip. Students will need some cash during the trip. Specifically, students will need some $1 bills to pay luggage porters. Students should bring between $5 and $10 in $1 bills for luggage porters to take their luggage to and from the ship, which includes their instrument as well. Health and medical. We are fortunate to have 2 individuals going along on our trip with medical training. Mr. Munoz, who is our high school principal, has first aid and CPR with AED training. We are also fortunate to have Dr. Nola Westfall along on our trip as a chaperone. Medical on the ship. The ship is equipped with 2 fully licensed doctors and 3 nurses. Some medical reminders. Drink water. Students often forget to drink water while on the bus, at the theme parks, and on the ship. Bring a water bottle to help you stay hydrated. Also, wear sunscreen and reapply often. While outside, it is often difficult to tell how burnt you are until later that night when you are experiencing significant discomfort. Apply, reapply, then apply again. Don't let a sunburn on the first day of your trip ruin the rest of your trip. We're going to be outside almost the entire trip. Motion sickness. Students are encouraged to be prepared in the event of seasickness on the ship. Families should take the initiative to explore the options that might work best for the student. You may choose to consult a medical doctor. See the handout for some suggestions of some options. Paying for medical treatment on the ship. If medical treatment is needed on the ship, the bill must be paid before disembarking. Having a credit card is the most convenient way to do this, and that is one of the reasons why I encourage students to have a credit card. Paying for this medical expense would be difficult with cash. Unless it is an urgent situation in which the medical attention is needed immediately, we will do our best to contact parents if medical treatment is needed. Medical insurance. Medical insurance is not accepted on the ship. You might want to consider travel insurance to cover any medical expenses. I will discuss this later on. Check with your medical insurance company to see how to handle an expense while on the cruise. Oftentimes you will need to keep receipts and get reimbursed later. Phones on board the ship. There are phones on the ship, though I need to emphasize that calling cards can't be used. I want to encourage you not to use these phones on the ship as well, as prices are $8.95 to $9.95 per minute and will be charged to your CPAS account. Cell phone service aboard the ship. Your phones may work on the ship, but you will need to pay roaming fees. The ship has satellite cellular service, but it can be very expensive. If you plan to purchase the internet plan, perhaps you want to set up a Google Voice number and use the internet to call. I also encourage you to think about whether you really need a phone on the trip or not. Let's enjoy the activities and scenery without the distraction of our devices. Internet service aboard the ship. First, ask yourself, is it really necessary? Internet can be purchased for around $15 a day. You can save by purchasing internet ahead of time online. Or you could just go without your device for 4 days. Soda and beverage packages. Soda and beverage packages can be purchased on board for about $8.50 a day or more depending on the package. You can save by purchasing these packages ahead of time, which I will discuss later on. Tap water, milk, tea, coffee, lemonade, iced tea, and some other beverages are provided for free on the ship. You are able to purchase internet and drink packages ahead of time. You can do this through the online registration. See the document for more details. Performance and dinner attire. Students need to be prepared for the following: their performance attire, 1 evening of formal dinner attire, and 3 evenings with informal or casual attire. I'd like to encourage students to plan ahead. In other words, you can use your performance pants for your dinner pants as well in order to save luggage space. Our performance attire consists of the following: a 2017-18 band shirt, black socks, black footwear, and black pants or slacks. There is 1 evening dinner in which formal attire is required. For males, this consists of a long sleeve shirt and tie, dress shoes, no tennis shoes or sandals please, and dress pants. Male students are encouraged to use the same pants for their formal attire and for their performance attire. For formal attire for females, they are encouraged to have the following. I'm encouraged to tell you Sunday dress. This could be skirts, dresses, etc. I was told that some people wear prom dresses, but you don't need to go this far. For 3 of the evenings, casual attire will be required. For males, this consists of a polo shirt or an open collar shirt, dress shoes, no tennis shoes or sandals please, dress pants, no jeans and no shorts. Males are encouraged to use the same dress pants from their performance for casual attire as well. Casual attire for females. Again, I was encouraged to tell you Sunday dress, skirts, nice shirts, etc. Next, I'd like to highlight some things regarding packing. First of all participants will need a passport. Make sure you have a plan of attack for keeping your passport secure. I suggest keeping your passport separate from any other items that you might need access to, including money, your driver's license, etc. Using one of the necklace passport holders is a great way to keep your passport secure. Students should also bring their school ID or driver's license. They will use this for getting on and off the ship in the Bahamas. That way, the students don't need to bring their passport everywhere they go. Students may also bring a certified birth certificate. This is a good backup in the rare and unfortunate event that a passport is lost. Make sure you've got your instrument, folding stand, reeds, and any other accessories you need to perform. When packing, make sure you are able to carry all of your luggage in one trip. Luggage with backpack straps and/or wheels is encouraged. Also, use straps to secure luggage to make it easier to walk. Packing organizers can help students keep their luggage organized. Walmart or Amazon have packing organizers similar to what you see here. A small shoulder bag or travel bag can add some convenience for when you are at your excursion or walking around the theme parks. Be sure to remember your phone and necessary chargers. A power bank is a good idea in case you need to recharge your device during a long day. Students are encouraged to have a plan of attack for money storage, which could consist of wallets, hidden pockets, money belt, etc. Here's a tip I like to use. Whenever I travel, I have a hidden pocket sewn into the inside of many of my pants and shorts. Obviously, this is a good way to prevent pickpockets. It is also simply a good way to prevent you from losing your wallet, money, or credit cards. Other items you should bring. Bus entertainment, including headphones, devices, card games, etc. Snacks and beverages for the bus ride. Please take note that beverages may not be brought on the ship. A day pack for the bus. Swimwear with a zipper pocket for your SeaPass card. A swim shirt to protect you from the sun. Remember that we are going to be outside almost every day. If you get burnt on the first day, you don't want that to prevent you from swimming. A travel pillow and blanket for the bus. Ziploc bags to protect your camera, phone, etc. where there might be water, such as Universal Studios, the beach, or the pool. Camera gear including your charger, SD cards, etc. Prescription medications along with the necessary forms. Rain gear. Toiletries including contact solution, deodorant, contact cases, etc. A watch. Remember that your devices might not work on the ship. Remember the $1 bills to pay the porters to take your luggage to and from the ship. What not to bring. In general, if you can't bring it to school, don't bring it on the ship. A special note that beverages cannot be brought on the ship. Also, anything that will cause concern going through customs should not be brought, including pirated CDs and DVDs. Some notes about supervision. The supervision model will be based on the specific situation. Chaperones will be placed with small groups when necessary, including during excursions, at ports, etc. Students will have freedom on the trip, including at Universal Studios, Kennedy Space Center, and various times on the cruise ship. When not directly supervised by a chaperone, students will need to be with groups of at least 2 or 3 students. We will have meetup times and possible phone and/or picture check-ins with chaperones on the ship and at the parks. Parents must have trust in their children in making wise choices regarding their behavior. Parents, please have a conversation with your children about this. Mr. Munoz and Mr. Carcula will work together with the chaperones to address behavior and discipline concerns if they arise. A note about student expectations on the trip. Student expectations are designed to ensure the safety and well-being of all students and adults attending the trip. A reminder of the contract signed by students in April. Points number 1 and 2 from the contract basically outlined payment due dates and that all payments, once received, are non-refundable. Point number 3. All students must have a passport valid through September 18th, 2018 in order to attend. Students without passports will not be able to attend and will receive no refund. Point number 4. Student violation of school rules prior to the trip may result in the student forfeiting the opportunity to attend the trip with no refund. Point number 5. If Mr. Carcula or any chaperones experience any major disciplinary infractions with the student while on the trip, he/she will be sent home at the expense of the parents. Student behaviors expectations prior to attending the trip. These were agreed upon in the contract. Students are expected to be in good standing throughout the remainder of the 2016 school year and the entire 2017-18 school year leading up to the spring break trip. Any student violating substance abuse policies will forfeit his or her opportunity to attend the trip without refund. Students with other behavior violations may also forfeit their participation. Students found violating school rules throughout the 2016-17 and 2017-18 school year will have to meet with Mr. Karkula and a principal in order to discuss his or her participation on the trip. Student expectations while on the trip. Students attending the trip to the Bahamas represent the music department, school, and community of Menominee. It is important that all students act in a manner that positively reflects our school and community. All school rules will apply while on the trip. Any infraction of school rules will result in the student being disciplined according to the school's handbook. A conference with parents and principal may be necessary. Major infractions including possession/use of alcohol, tobacco, drugs, stealing, inappropriate relations with other members, sexual harassment, fighting, vandalism, disrespect, etc. may result in the student being sent home at the parent's expense. Our curfew and bed check will be strictly enforced. In the event that we have to deal with a major behavior infraction, the principal and the parent will be contacted. It is then the parent's responsibility to pay for and arrange transportation for the student to return home. Students will be held responsible for their actions and their choices regarding behavior on this trip. For your reference, a copy of this contract, which was signed by both the parents and students in April, is included in your handout. I will now highlight some additional expectations specific to this trip. Be on time. You are expected to be punctual at all times and follow the trip itinerary. Your tardiness and inability to read a watch will hold up over 55 people and may make the trip less enjoyable. Respect the time of others in the group by being on time to all bus loadings, bed checks, meals, etc. Make wise choices and use common sense. If you are not sure if you should be doing something, then don't do it. Only students of the same gender are allowed in hotel rooms. There are plenty of commons areas to socialize throughout the hotel and cruise ship. Only MHS band students are allowed in hotel rooms. Caution is advised with strangers and newly acquired friends. Do not tell others your room number. No outside guests are allowed in hotel rooms. Next, be on time. Again, your tardiness and inability to read a watch will hold up over 55 people and make the trip less enjoyable. Stay in room after bed checks. You may only leave if the safety and well-being of a student is at risk. This policy will be strictly enforced at all times during curfew and throughout the evening. Next, be on time. Are you noticing a trend here? Bus seating. We will have loose bus seating throughout the day. For overnight travel, students will be separated by gender. Do not charge anything to your room. This includes TV, phones, movies, room service, etc. Students are expected to pay any outstanding fees charged to the room as a result of damage, stealing, or inappropriately using phones or pay-per-view. Always be with at least one, preferably two, other students. Chaperones will accompany students when necessary. Failure to comply with rules and expectations will result in the loss of privileges, which could be early bed check, chaperone accompaniment in parks, etc. Communication home may be necessary. In the event of a major discipline issue, Mr. Karkula and Mr. Munoz will discuss the situation. The parent will be contacted. If significant, the student will be sent home. The parent must arrange and pay for transportation back to Menominee. This includes cab rides, shuttles, flights, helicopter rides, etc. I feel it is necessary to communicate chaperone expectations to all families so that you know your children are in good hands. All chaperones signed a contract stating the following. Character expectations for parents while attending the trip are identical to the expectations that SDMA has for teachers. This includes, but is not limited to, abstaining from the use of alcohol, nicotine, and other controlled substances. The expectations exist to assure the safety and well-being of all participants on the trip. Some notes regarding travel insurance. Why should you purchase it? Some big reasons are, if the trip is canceled due to an unforeseen circumstance, you will get your money back. If your luggage gets lost, you can purchase items and get reimbursed. The two most significant reasons are in yellow. If you have medical needs on the trip and your health insurance does not cover it, your travel insurance will reimburse you for it. Also, in the event of a weather emergency or the bus breaks down, you will also be reimbursed. Below are two recommended companies. Alliance is partnered with our travel agent. Travel Guard is another reputable company based in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Mr. Karkula uses Travel Guard whenever he travels. See the handout for information on how you can purchase travel insurance. Next, I'd like to highlight the important dates coming up. First of all, on Thursday, March 1st, your set sail pass is due. Before printing out your set sail pass, make sure you've completed every step in the online registration, including setting up your onboard expense account. On Tuesday, March 6th, we are going to have a loose ends trip meeting before the band concert. This is an opportunity for you to ask questions, and I will have some final information regarding our departure on March 10th. Saturday, March 10th is our departure date. Students should meet in the Menominee High School Commons at 4:30 a.m. On Saturday, March 17th, we will arrive back to Menominee High School probably in the evening. In order to prepare for our performance on the ship and at Universal Studios, we have some additional band rehearsals scheduled outside of our class. Mr. Dolmeyer will be running those rehearsals during ELT on Fridays when I am gone. See the handout for a list of rehearsals. I will now briefly outline the itinerary. A detailed itinerary is included in your handout. On March 10th, students will meet at Menominee High School at 4:30 a.m. We will do luggage checks and then depart for Orlando. We plan to arrive at Universal Studios on the morning of March 11th. We will spend the entire day at Universal Studios. We also have a performance today. Students will have a park hopper pass and will be able to access Universal Studios as well as Islands of Adventure. Students will spend the evening of March 11th through March 12th in a Cocoa Beach area hotel. After breakfast at the hotel, we will depart for Kennedy Space Center and spend the morning there. After spending the morning at Kennedy Space Center, we will arrive at Port Canaveral and board the cruise ship. The next day, March 13th, is a day at sea. It is also the day of our performance on the cruise ship. On March 14th, we will port at Nassau, Bahamas. Many students have prepaid for excursions for this day. Students that did not prepay for an excursion will be supervised on the ship or supervised doing DIY excursions by Mr. Munoz or one of the chaperones. On March 15th, we port at Coco Cay. Students will be able to participate in many beach and water activities. Students will depart the cruise ship after having breakfast on the morning of March 16th. After disembarking, we will go back to Universal Studios for another day. Students again will have a park hopper pass and will have access to both Universal Studios as well as Islands of Adventure. After spending the day there, we will depart for MHS that evening. We expect to arrive back to MHS on the evening of March 17th. Before ending the video, I would like to once again highlight what you need to do next. Before February 26th, make sure you finalize your online registration by setting up your expense account. You will need a credit card to do this unless you are choosing not to bring a credit card on the ship. Between February 26th and March 1st, be sure to print out your set sail pass, sign, and submit it to Mr. Karkula. Again, do not print it early. If changes are made, it may be invalid. And finally, by March 5th, this is your final date to turn in any updated medical forms or medication forms. Mr. Karkula will be on paternity leave from January 24th through February 22nd. We will have a final band trip meeting on Tuesday, March 6th at 6 p.m. before our concert. Because the January 22nd meeting was canceled, the March 6th meeting will be of greater importance. If you have any questions, be sure to email Mr. Karkula at the email address provided.